A second judge is attempting to thwart the Trump agenda by blocking Elon Musk and DOGE from cleaning up the Treasury Department. And not just that, he is also attempting to order DOGE to destroy any evidence or information that they have acquired so far. But don't worry, it's just a temporary block until Friday when then they can argue their case. Nothing to see here, right? This is an article from USA Today discussing this, titled "Judge Blocks Elon Musk's Team from Accessing Federal Payment Systems." This is by Maureen Groppe, whatever. Anyway, she writes, a federal judge on Saturday temporarily blocked a Trump administration team led by tech billionaire Elon Musk from accessing government payment processing systems in response to challenge from attorneys general in 19 states. The states, led by New York Attorney General Letitia James, argues Musk and other members of the Department of Government Efficiency are not authorized to access the Treasury Department's central payment system and could jeopardize the security of confidential information and also potentially discover fraud. I'm adding that last part. They also argue Musk's team could block federal funds to states for health clinics, preschools, climate initiatives, and other programs. Well, if there's fraud, and if there's waste, that is the prerogative of the administration. Yeah, they could do that. And so, USA Today writes, U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer, who was appointed to the bench by President Barack Hussein Obama, said the states had made a sufficient case at this stage of both potential harm and that their legal arguments have merit. Engelmeyer ordered the Trump administration to appear in Manhattan federal court on Friday to argue why the temporary restraining order should not be extended as the states pursue their suit. The judge's order was the latest in a string of recent court pauses on the flurry of Trump's efforts to remake and downsize the federal government. Now, these judges, like Engelmeyer, are absolutely overstepping their bounds here. They are being activist judges, and they know it. The president's authority, you see, to appoint special advisors and task forces and to investigate federal agencies stems from constitutional and statutory powers, though these authorities are not unlimited. You see, under Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, the president can appoint principal officers, for example, cabinet secretaries, federal judges, with Senate confirmation. Congress may also vest the appointment of inferior officers in the president alone, courts or department heads. And you see, special advisors and task force members typically fall into the category of inferior officer as long as they perform specific limited functions, which the DOGE team is doing. For example, let's talk about Reagan's 1981 task force on private sector initiatives. This was composed of private citizens like Elon Musk and officials appointed by the president without Senate confirmation. Didn't seem to have a problem back then. Or how about Joe Biden's COVID-19 response coordinator and other advisory roles created via executive order under the president's supervisory authority over the executive branch? Didn't seem to have a problem then either. The reality is, special task force like DOGE are not out of the ordinary. Presidents often establish these kinds of task forces. For example, Obama's 21st Century Policing Task Force was designed to address specific policy goals. These are permissible under Article 2's mandate to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. The President of the United States, as head of the executive branch, has inherent authority to investigate agencies to ensure compliance with laws and policies. This includes audits or reviews of agency operations. And in the case of DOGE, their mission is to identify waste. You need to see where the money is going. Now, the ones who maintain oversight of the executive branch here is Congress. Congress retains authority to investigate the executive branch via committees, subpoenas, and hearings. The problem is, for the Democrat Party right now is, well, those are being run by the Republican Party, who are okay with and happy with Trump's attempts to tear down the deep state, to tear down government waste. Now, while it is true that there is judicial review, for example, courts can block presidential actions as long as they exceed statutory or constitutional limits. And that, by the way, is the excuse that the Judge Engelmeyer is using in his attempt to thwart DOGE's access to Treasury data. The judge is citing potential legal violations, such as... Now, all of this seems pretty sketchy to me, especially considering the order to destroy evidence gathered. It's one thing to put a temporary hold, and it's another to have them destroy evidence or data. This seems problematic to me. And all of this matters because the very reason why presidents are allowed to investigate their agencies is all about the faithful execution clause. The president must ensure that laws are implemented effectively, necessitating oversight of the agencies. There is an understanding that government tends to move towards corruption and inefficiency. This is why you have task forces like DOGE, who are designed as tools to identify waste, fraud, or even abuse within bureaucracy. Every modern president has used an advisory body, like Reagan's task force and Biden's climate councils, to shape policy. It's just that this time, they don't like Donald Trump. Now back to the USA Today article. Trump made Musk a special government employee to lead much of the efforts. But Letitia James said that Trump does not have the power to give away Americans' private information to anyone he chooses. Actually, he does. That's the whole point of having that kind of power as the president. Anyway, Letitia went on to say that the government's central payment systems contain sensitive personal information, including bank account details and social security numbers. Oh no! And controls benefit payments and other funding that millions of Americans depend on. Anyway, she went on to say, as the richest man in the world, Elon Musk is not used to be told no. But in our country, no one is above the law. Well, where have you been the last 4 to 8 years here? Yikes. Anyway, in response to a separate lawsuit by labor unions, the Treasury Department agreed earlier this week not to give DOGE access to its payment systems, while the judge considers allegations that Musk illegally searched them, even though he was told by Trump to do so and he was appointed by Trump to do so. And as you can expect, the White House officials have expressed confidence that they will defeat all the challenges being brought against the administration. Harrison Fields, the principal deputy White House press secretary, said in a statement to USA Today that every action taken by the Trump-Vance administration is fully legal and compliant with federal law. And he is most likely correct, because eventually it'll work its way up to the Supreme Court and they will win, because at least that court upholds the rule of law for the most part. Now, while the left may have scored a temporary victory in this small battlefield, another U.S. District Judge, John Bates, discarded leftist complaints about DOGE accessing the Labor Department system, dismissing the plaintiff's complaint as not showing enough injury to show legal standing to even bring lawsuits. Now, this judge seems to get it. You can't have hypothetical what-ifs as the reason to impede the will of the American people, to stop the president from doing his job to clean up massive, overwhelming corruption of the federal government, to find the cockroaches that infest in it who are milking the American people dry in the process, and remove them. This is from The Hill. They write, U.S. District Judge John Bates found the plaintiffs hadn't shown enough injury to have legal standing to bring the lawsuit. Bates wrote, this data includes the medical and financial records of millions of Americans, but on the current record, plaintiffs have failed to establish standing. So although the court harbors concerns about defendants' alleged conduct, it must deny plaintiffs' motion at this time. The lawsuit, filed Wednesday by the AFL-CIO and several of its affiliate government employee unions, claims that giving Musk's team access to the Labor Department systems violates federal privacy law and is without any legal authority. And so, regardless of the bleating and moaning of the feckless left who are powerless in Congress to slow Trump or DOGE down, the breakneck pace will keep on keeping on, so to speak. And it's not just the Labor Department. DOGE is now getting ready to audit the Pentagon.
And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted, and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. And I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it, but we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption. And we found tremendous corruption.
Quickly, to follow up on what Peter was asking, have you directed Elon Musk to review Pentagon spending, given it's the biggest discretionary spending in the federal budget?
Yes, I have. Pentagon, education, just about everything. We're going to go through everything, just as it was so bad with what we just went through with this horrible situation we just went through. And I guess 97% of the people have been dismissed It was very, very.
He's talking about the
unfortunate. You're not
USAID.
going to find anything like that, but you're going to find a lot. And I've instructed him to go check out education, to check out the Pentagon, which is the military. And, sadly, you'll find some things that are pretty bad. But I don't think proportionally you're going to see anything like we just saw.
So there you have it. This little court case doesn't seem to be slowing down Doge whatsoever. It's just a roadblock to overcome. And left-wing outlets are finally awakening to the reality that Trump's indefatigable pace will not be letting up anytime soon. Here is the left-wing news outlet Axios bemoaning the fact that they will not be able to get Trump to slow down. This is an article written by Alex Eisenstadt, who wrote, "Why Trump's in-your-face campaign will never end." Let's see. It's not just a wild 5 a.m. tweets from Donald Trump anymore. 3 weeks into a second term, Trump's White House is pumping out personal insults to his political enemies, provocative videos, and flame-throwing social media attacks like no administration before. Yeah, Donald Trump is the content president. He is the first of its kind, and he will not be the last, I guarantee you. Anyway, why it matters, Alex writes. During Trump's first term, he was something of a lone wolf on Twitter. But in Trump 2.0, it's like the 2024 campaign never ended. An entire team is his avatar, a smash-mouth 24/7 PR operation that seems bent on juicing political divisions. Much of Trump's offensive plays out through a Rapid Response 47 account in the White House that they set up on X, which according to its bio is focused on supporting the President of the United States' America First agenda and holding the fake news accountable. And then he gives a couple of examples. On January 31st, the Rapid Response account posted a message portraying House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries as violent for promising the Democrats will fight Trump's agenda legislatively in the courts and in the streets. Yeah, he wanted people to go out in the streets and fight. Remember all the accusations that they made about Donald Trump on January 6th? Remember that? Of course they're going to point that out. That's political warfare. Then he also writes, Thursday afternoon, the feed posted a sarcastic response to Senator Chris Murphy, who had posted about pulling an all-nighter on the Senate floor in protest of Trump's nominee to lead the Office of Management and Budget, Russell Voigt. Stunning and brave, Trump's team wrote. Oh, shock and horror. And a day earlier, Alex writes, the account had derided Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as the weirdest man in Washington, D.C., which, let's be honest, I think most people are starting to think that of him as well. In fact, even comedy circuits all over the late night shows have been making fun of this man. He's kind of an idiot now, and everyone can see it. He's stuck in the 90s, and we're in 2024. Now let's slide on down to his big picture part of the article. He writes, past administrations used official government social media accounts and surrogates to spread the message, typically in the official speak of Washington. That's not the formula with this White House, which is stocked with former campaign advisors who say the political, media, and social media environment has changed. Yeah, it has. There's no point in engaging like this. There's a nonstop war against us, a senior White House official involved with the messaging told Axios. Are we supposed to take it and just leave it up to the press briefing to get our message out? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, they learned from Trump 1.0 that you can't allow the media to set the narrative. Anyway, he wraps up the article writing that the White House officials say their brass-knuckle approach reaches more people than duller, more traditional White House messaging of the past. And boy, are they right. So fear not, my friends. For those of you who want to see corruption rooted out of the federal government, root and stem. For those of you who want to see the true deep staters, these lifelong parasites within the government ripped out and cast aside like the garbage that they truly are, that time is coming. Despite the desperate attempts from the left to slow Trump so far, it amounts to little more than small obstacles that seem to be easily circumvented by the Trump administration. There seems to be a new dawn in America. We have awoken to a time and a place where the American people can demand change. They can demand that this bloated, obese federal government be put on a treadmill, put on a diet, maybe even given Ozempic. And the federal government can cry no all they want, but diet they will. Because the era of sucking the people of this country dry by the federal government is no longer acceptable in this new dawning age of the United States.